stopped out there.
Yeah, they are usually.
I see them all the time.
Right. Tracks everywhere. All right, it's 5 o'clock.
Oh, I guess we're time.
Okay.
5 o'clock. Correct? Yep. 5. Computer.
All righty. I would like to call to order the Public Works and Safety Committee meeting at 5:01. Roll call. We have Alderman Borgman. Stay here.
Here.
Alderman Engelhardt.
Here.
And we have Chief Friends, and we have our Public Works Director, Scott Kroger, and Alderman Madden. If you would please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. And this meeting was posted according to the Wisconsin open meeting laws. So approval of the minutes from December 17th.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Status projects.
Sure, let's go through Waukesha Water. The city of Muskego should have 90% plans in April of '29, and that is return flow only. Now, again, remember where return flow goes for our route is Moreland Road to Durham Drive to North Cape Road, then to Ryan Road. So that's a plan of attack, and it's return flow only. So they're still thinking about putting a 30-inch pipe in, so it's going to be a big one. So there will be coming up in public information meetings in spring and summer 2019. I'm not sure where. They're looking at different locations. I think last time they used the high school for one, but that's their game plan, just to kind of let people know. And their construction, they are still undecided whether our route portion will be done in 2020 or 2021. It just all depends on how they release the contracts. They did choose, so Greeley Hansen is their consultant for the design and project controls. Black & Veatch with R.E. Smith will be the construction managers. Black & Veatch is kind of a big national firm, and R.E. Smith is kind of a local firm, so they kind of partner together. So at first one thought was Greeley Hansen was going to do construction management, but it's not. It's Black & Veatch and R.E. Smith. So I just found that out. So.
Okay.
Is it correct that this is likely to totally close some roads for a little bit?
There is potential. So that's why we're kind of looking at it. Because when you take a 30-inch pipe and you put it in pretty deep, in some of those cases, Durham Drive, we don't have much right-of-way in there. And you're probably going to open up a hole 10 to 12 feet wide. Mm-hmm. So they're going to, what we're working through right now is they're looking at even paying to move some other utilities. For example, there's, I think, an AT&T fiber. They're looking to pay that fiber to move it out a little bit further. Then they can move their pipe out a little bit further, which means then they don't disrupt traffic. Portions of Moreland Road, we all know it's brand new, so they're going to stay underneath the trail. That means then that road portion should be open. And then they'll jack and bore under the roundabout. They're trying to avoid as many areas as possible. And they realize, though, in some cases they might have to use flaggers. The biggest problem is there's some homes that access along those routes and just always trying to keep those open to people. So, but they're looking at everything. They might do some weekend work, some night work if allowable. They're going to look at everything possible. So whenever they choose their contractor, the contractor is going to have a whole kind of like toolbox of different means of construction to kind of get this to work.
So then our bigger concern is inconvenience to our residents.
Correct. That's going to be, and I think, we're beginning to look at intergovernmental agreements. There needs to be something done between us and them. It's their pipe in there for a long time. If something breaks, they repair it, they pay restitution. It's a standard language to protect us.
So there are some homes that are right on Durham Drive.
Correct. And they'll have to work through getting that in there. They will have to be like, okay, when you're leaving, when you're coming back, and we're going to put temporary
They're either going to have to go behind them.
They'll figure it out.
I don't believe they can go under them. They'd have to go behind them or right down the street.
Right down the street. Probably most cases it's going to be between in our right of way. That's the best case. So it's a big project. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a very big project, and it will be. I've said this before, inconvenient to some of the homeowners, and some of those homeowners might be the same ones that were inconvenient with Moreland Drive.
I'm
Road.
pretty much guarantee that. Have we been talking to them? Do they know this is coming?
To the residents?
Yeah.
That is, again, up to the consultant, which would be Greeley Hansen. That's why they're doing the public information meetings and everything. Whatever they give us, they have a really good website, Great Lakes. Again, you can do all the information meetings. You can put all the door things on. The only time really it becomes important when the person can't access or construction starts in their house. And that's just typical with any job. So I would hope, and we've stressed this to them, to get out and do as much information as possible.
Sure. Well, I know those two houses in question are both business owners, so you would think that they would know how this works.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they just kind of you got to give them, they just finalized a route, so.
Okay.
And we'll be extra careful on this one to make sure everyone that should be notified is
Right.
notified.
Right. All righty. Moving along, Bay Lane reconstruction.
Sure. We are reviewing final PS&E plans right now, the city. What that means is plans, specs, and estimates. So we're pretty much there. Once we get our comments back to them, they're going to bid it either in late February or March of 2019, and then construction will be between May and September of 2019. Remember, there will not be a connection between Bellevue and Bay Lane.
Right.
That is pulled. It's not part of this project. So just stressing that. So
Okay. Hillendale reconstruction.
the Hillendale project, they're moving forward with the 60% plans, and the two biggest things with the design standards: one, there's no trail, so they don't have to plan for a trail, and two, because after their first set of plans, we changed the speed limit from 35 to 30. They're now designing it with a 30-mile speed limit. So those are the two big things that we'll see. And they're beginning now to start looking into some of the drainage questions that we have, because now we can focus on that a little bit more.
Okay. Drainage questions are important by,
Yep.
you and I have had plenty of feedback on
Yeah,
that.
it's basically, we can't do a stormwater pond where there's no land, there's nothing. So the big key things are make sure we're all draining properly where we are, make sure the ditches are up to size. So, some of the ditches need to be really cleaned out, and some of the ditches just aren't of design standards, so they're going to be cleaned up, so. And we will use storm sewer and curb and gutter in areas where it will be difficult to get a ditch in.
Are you aware of any besides that one particular one that we've both
No,
talked about?
he's
We're going down the hill.
yeah, he's the only gentleman that he keeps calling me. I think, a lot of things when the ponds got online for the school, they've helped out a lot to do with the stormwater. But again, right now we have snow. Give me about 2 months, and I will have everyone who has a water problem will be calling in the city. But even when we had rain, when it melted all the snow, the ground wasn't really frozen. If y'all noticed it, because not many calls, it kind of seeped in pretty good. It wasn't like rolling off like asphalt to grass.
It's not a hard to freeze.
Yep. No.
No. Back in the fall, we had individual on the east or south side of the street that was receiving off of the street yet up by the school. And I alerted the school personnel, and they cut a swale between the bus entrance and their little corner pond there and whatnot. They did cut a swale specifically for that. Other than that, we couldn't see much reason water was making it to the street or across the street. I've not had any feedback on that myself.
I have not either on anything. I think the new road too, if you look, it pitches a lot from west to east. Instead, this new road will have a crown in the middle. So the idea is not to have the water shoot right across the road, which it does currently, so.
Yeah. That was always bad there next to the parking lot of the school.
Yeah, and those ponds really help. I mean, it really, and when there's grates, there's a ditch in front, and they put grates in by the entranceways to pick up as much water. I think they did a pretty good job of getting in as much water as they can.
Outside of that one resident, I haven't heard anything else from anyone along
Yeah.
the school area.
Yep,
So apparently that's working pretty good.
yeah, so.
Great. Okay, water main assessment, we're going to defer until March.
Yeah, I got a lot of information coming from a lot of different people.
Oh, boy.
Yep, so,
That sounds intriguing.
yep.
Okay, new business, request for curb cuts at City Hall for snowmobiles.
Yeah.
We went through this once already. You weren't here, Alderman Borgman. We kind of, the request was done to have curb cuts provided at City Hall. The reason why it was brought up now was looking back for all the history, no one ever, there's no history of doing it, so it was brought to the attention of doing curb cuts there, and it was kind of more left up to you to decide, and then decide who was going to pay for it. Now, the only other research I've done on this, and this is my 2 cents, is, so from my understanding, they have the right to stay within Waukesha County right away. There is, and I checked with Jill and everyone like that, the snowmobiles do ask us in the fall always to give us, through the parks plan, to give them permission to use Muskego Lake, Access 17, and Lake to Noon so they can roll on it. So, but I checked, is there any other agreements that we have? There's no other agreements that I've ever heard of between us and them. And the reason why I ask this is, if they're staying within Waukesha County, that's good, they're staying in Waukesha County. I would assume that the curb cuts would be in the Waukesha County right away. So then, my next question would be, I don't have that permission in Waukesha County right away as a city, so I hope they would check with them if they want to do. What makes it more interesting is your existing PD has curb and gutter that goes all the way to the county right away, so they must be bypassing around that, I would assume, because you have curb and gutter in that way, and there's no curb cuts over there.
Isn't it true that terminates in such a way at the old PD that they can easily go around that? That is not true on the new cut.
Right.
Correct. But the one thing is, and this is where I always bring up, when you do that, you jog into city land and back. And maybe it was just a written rule and everything like that, but there's just no agreement in place. I checked with Jill, I checked with everyone about it, so.
I've also noticed that they have been going over the curb out there.
Nonstop.
Much.
Yeah,
It is
I-
used well, you know, I mean, it's being used, so.
I also had input from one person that's in the snowmobile club that said, really didn't make any difference to him as an individual. He wasn't speaking for the club, he was just
Right.
speaking as an individual,
Right.
but said to him, it didn't make any difference. Now, for what it's worth.
It's not stopping them. I mean, I've seen them nonstop. When they get 6 inches and they're open, they've been using them, so.
You know, with that, I don't know how important it is.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, so.
Well, it failed last month, or last.
It just
time.
split.
Oh, yeah, and then they asked for it to come back. I don't see anything that has changed that would make us want to change our minds or approve it. I know. And I don't see anybody here to talk to us
Yeah, well,
about it.
I refused the second last time so that we had a chance for it to continue. It was part of my thinking on that.
Gotcha.
I'm glad that it did, but that's okay.
Okay,
I'm
and, well, I know Chief has plenty of input on it as well.
I did go and look at, they had mentioned where they come off of the lake access there and cross on Janesville. Where they cross on Janesville, where those curb cuts are, that's an illegal crossing because it's not DOT approved. So, because they can't cross more than 4 lanes and they have a cutout where there's 5 lanes, there's a turn lane there. So technically that is an illegal crossing right there where they're doing it. And then the other problem, with putting a cutout over here is in order for that to be a legal trail, they either have to be 40 feet off of the roadway, which they're not, or they have to have a light barrier up the whole way so that snowmobile lights don't shine into the roadway, into operators' eyes of vehicles. You know, so that trail is technically an illegal trail at nighttime, because when people are going south, and there's really no way.
Really a trail, is it? It's just something they use?
Right, it's not, well, they do put some signage out, but it's not a DOT approved a trail. So it's technically, it's not a trail, and it's not legal for them to travel southbound on it at night or to cross to get onto the lake, so.
So here's a curiosity question. If it's a club trail, don't club trails have to be, when they're in a municipality, don't they have to be approved through?
That I'm not sure. I mean, they would have to, they still have to follow state law
Well, that's what I mean. So they aren't,
regarding trail use. You
Yeah,
know,
but
there's no
they
way
aren't.
the city can approve that trail, is what I'm saying.
well, right, and that's what I
'Cause it's
mean. So
running-
they aren't,
Right, it's running along county highway.
Following the
So,
law.
and I realize that trail's been there forever. I think he said 40-some years. Well, 40-some years ago, they probably ran on each side of the road.
Right.
Because there was not a problem. You know, now with all the buildup here, there's no way to, you know, run it on both sides of the road, so it has technically become an illegal trail. And actually, they did reroute it, a few years back to go behind Syndic, because they used to cross at Racine and Janesville, but that's 5 lanes as well now because of the turn lanes. So they had to pull back further down and cross by Culvers there more so that they can make that legal. But now, that was before, and now since then, when the city put that bike path in on the west side of the road, they made it no snowmobiling over there, so now the trail moved to this side of the road. So they don't have to cross Racine any longer up where it's, they're actually crossing it down further, south of, is it south of Racine or south of Woods? I'm not even sure now. I think it might be south of Woods that they're crossing, and running that whole path, you know, up to,
We have City Trail south of
lake.
Woods.
Yeah, we got a path there too now.
What's
We
that?
got a path there too now.
Yeah.
If they cross the woods, they're gonna get on the high school property.
Yeah,
So are they going in on Lincoln then to the lake?
yeah.
Okay.
so if we approve this, technically, we would be approving an illegal trail.
You're not really, you're putting in cutouts. I wouldn't say the city is approving it. I'm just saying that it's not a legal
Well,
trail.
we'd be allowing access through an
Right,
illegal
through it,
trail.
right.
Strange one.
Okay. Anyhow,
We also control then, because north of Janesville Road, we prohibit snowmobiles, right?
Right.
So
Right.
when was that come into play? When did that get started?
That was, oh boy, that was started probably 20 years ago or more. And, you know, because the residents were complaining there. Well, now the residents are complaining down here because the snowmobiles going through there. And what happens is they're technically, when they come to a driveway, they're supposed to come out onto the gravel shoulder or the roadway and cross and go down. Well, it's much quicker and easier just to zip up onto private property and jump over their driveway. And then, you know, we get the calls, the complaints about it, so,
I lost a pine tree at the church that way.
yeah.
okay, so I guess I'm looking for a vote on the request for curb cuts at City Hall. Nobody wants to vote?
How do we want to word this?
Yeah.
I vote to deny the request.
Okay, a motion to deny.
Correct.
Are you making the motion?
I'm making a motion to deny.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nobody. And it fails. New business is placed on file that wants to be placed? Nope, nothing? Okay. Communications and miscellaneous other business? Did you have something else?
Can we have an update from Scott on how we're doing with salt, et cetera? So when people
So-
ask us right now,
So if you've seen, we kind of started splitting salt with sand out there.
Yeah.
We're a little nervous, you know what I mean? Just because this last time, it's, and, we should be okay, but that was one of our methods that we used to kind of stretch it out a little bit. Some places use beet juice, some use brine. Our method is using sand.
Yeah. Are we trying to obtain any more salt this
Yeah,
season?
we're still trying to do as much, but I want to give you an idea. It's $9 up a ton for us in the fall, so I think it costs us an extra $30,000 than normal. And probably for a private company, we're still getting a fair price. A private guy is probably paying $122 a ton of salt. It's a lot of money. Salt has gone up quite a bit this year. So we're just doing the best that we can, preparing. I saw the roads today. They look good. The sun's helping
good.
out. I hear again it's coming Wednesday. The guys over there, they're doing their best they can to do it. I think last time when we had the last one, that's when you started seeing the sand and the salt kind of going through. So.
And can I ask the question, because since I've been approached by a couple, and I've never heard complaints about how well we've done in the past, and I wouldn't really categorize them as complaints, but questioning, are we out there as much as we have in the past, these last couple storms, or are we on a little bit reduced or altered schedule, or what have we done with these last couple storms?
It varies on when the storms come. If it's an all-day one, you're going to do it. And the other thing, too, is we pay these guys overtime when it's on the weekends and stuff like that. So, we're trying to keep it in a budget of what we have. From everything I've hearing, it's just when they come weird times like that, they're all here. Everyone's doing it. We work them and then let them go home for a little bit and then run them again. But from everything I've heard, the biggest complaints have not been about snow removal as much as been garbage pickup during the cold. And what those complaints were, we missed a couple recyclable times. And what's happening is these trucks, when it's minus 40,
They just don't run.
They don't run.
Yeah.
And
Hydraulics don't work good.
yeah, and it was a week where, what do we have on Monday? A snowstorm, and then we had day off, and then we had Wednesday, Thursday, really cold days. So, I know those guys, the Advance worked on Saturday. It still didn't allow them to catch up. I think they finally caught up. But the biggest complaints I've been hearing is just missing one or two recyclables. Nothing really against the snow removal, but the other problem that you're beginning to have is trying to knock down the banks. This is probably I think we were kind of saying, when's the last time the banks have been this high? We've been getting out there. I think a lot of the trails have even touched today. That we got out there and snowplowed them. I know we have to go back out. I heard along Janesville Road, some of Waukesha County, then came back and they hit some of those guys. They pushed the snow onto our trails, so we got to knock them out. I think everyone with everything I'm hearing, I have not heard any complaints about the snow removal. So whatever we're doing, it's working pretty good.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. When the crews come in, I understand it's basically to make sure they're salting regardless of whether there's little snow or a lot of snow to begin with. I'm sure that's our main focus. But second to that, then, anytime we start, do we do a full crew all the time, or?
Yeah, it's usually we do full crews.
Takes that to cover the city, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't have any extra people. We full crew it with everything. We don't have another person. I mean, they all know there's no vacations during wintertime. It's just the fact of life. That's just how it is for us. And our guys are good and experienced, but I can tell you one thing that I don't know if everyone's been paying attention. City of Milwaukee, DPW crews. Have you heard that they have 1/3 of the guys that do snow plowing have less than 2 years of experience?
Yeah.
So they've been having, it's with anything with any job. When a guy starts, you don't just say, here's your keys, go start snow plowing. No. It's, bring in the right young staff, get them first, like maybe doing the parking lots of parks, then gradually move them up. Because when you're out there and you can't see, and you got a plow on the side and a plow on a wing plow, it can be very dangerous. So, with any place, people are aging, people are retiring from all systems. So getting that next person to be a good operator in a snow plow is key for anyone. So, the city's facing a serious trouble with that, Milwaukee, with 1/3 of the guys doing it, because they have bigger trucks than we do. So.
How many patrol trucks do we have, or the big snowplows, the regular
I gotta check,
13 or so?
I was about to say 13, yeah.
And how's that work out about how many miles does one driver have to cover on a route?
I think I have a map of routes in my office, or Ryan has a map of the routes. So you could probably check with him.
It's a good 10 miles apiece though,
Yeah,
right?
probably.
And probably at less than
I
5
mean,
miles
what do they
an
say in
hour.
the city of the state, where we're up to 145 miles worth of road? I think that's what the state of the city is, that's what the mayor said.
Yeah,
13 routes would be just over 10 miles each
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Yeah.
that's then two-way then,
Yeah,
so it's really 20 miles.
yep. And now think about this, we're getting more parks, we're getting more conservation. We're planned for, was it the Waters of Danoon? And Burback's planned for another one. Those become ours.
Yeah.
Harvest Court, when they finish off Harvest Court, that'll become a public road. That'll become ours. I mean, we're not giving roadway up, I guess is the best way. We're adding it. So that means more work.
So it's
So,
realistic to say that it takes about 4 to 5 hours per pass?
yep,
Okay.
yep,
At full force?
yep. And we
Okay.
do pretty good on our trails. I know there's a sign up there we have up to 3 weeks to do it. But ever since I've been here, we've always got that done way beforehand. But we give up 3 weeks, it's on our website. And we have, is it 2 Kubotas and 4 John Deeres, or 2 John Deeres and 4 Kubotas, and you see them all going around doing the plows and stuff, so.
Okay. And anything else?
Thank you, thank you.
All good? Then I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 5:27.
You might be gone. Okay.